in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, and welcome back to me, and welcome back to you. And this will be the last of my long weekends, I think, for a bit, I think, maybe, but who the hell knows. It is a Tuesday, and that means my sister Susan is going to join us. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hi, Suze.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. I was allowed to sleep until 6 a.m. this morning.
Oh, what a good little puppy. I have met the puppy, and I told Susan we cannot talk about the puppy because we'll sound obnoxious. But this might be the smartest puppy I've ever encountered. I mean, he's trained himself. He's an old. I told him. I said, you're an old soul in a puppy body. I mean, if he were a 4-year-old dog, you would say, what a well-trained dog that is. He's 12 weeks old.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Is he getting better?
He is getting better.
Good.
And along with it, he's not such an old soul anymore.
Is he being a puppy?
He's running around. Because I'm who I am, he has a crate and he's being crate trained, but he also is allowed on some of the furniture.
Yeah.
And he fell off the couch twice yesterday.
He tends to not have a sense of, what?
Where he is.
Yeah, that is true. I did notice
and
that.
I kept trying to move him so it wouldn't happen. He would move himself right back, roll over, and fall off.
Well, this is how one learns, right?
Apparently.
Right.
But after he did it twice, like in 5 seconds, I said, I don't think you're as smart as everybody thinks you are. Anyway, that's it.
Well, okay, maybe not about spatial things, but everything else he is. I'm just in love with him. So, anyway.
Even your mother's in love with him. She's called to see how he is. She says, I just love that little puppy. And I'm going, oh, my God.
I mean, our mother is not known for loving animals, especially dogs. So that's that. There it is right there. As I said to Celine, here's how wonderful this puppy was. He takes a person who doesn't like dogs, is immune to their charms, and my mother, and she was seen helping him onto her couch. That, when we had a dog, that dog wasn't allowed on a couch.
I go out on the porch, and there she is going, oh, do you want to sleep on the couch with the pillow?
right. Do you need a pillow? Well, this comes with also being 93. Today is actually her birthday. Happy birthday, Mom!
And you know what she's doing? She's golfing, even as we speak.
Oh, she is? I think
when
she said
I
she
called
was.
her right after I accidentally called you.
Susan called me this morning, and I said hello, and she said, "Happy birthday, Mom." I said, Susan, this is me.
It's my finger's fault. It just dialed your number without my permission.
Okay, so she's golfing. Good. And then she was just elected to the board of our of the Green Bay Synagogue, and so tonight she has a board meeting. She was elected to a 3-year term. She's got to serve till she's 96. All right, we'll stop. Susan, did somebody get that phone?
Yeah, that is Cousin Edie.
Will someone tell her about our show?
I've told her.
All right, okay. Okay, we have one more thing about Green Bay because we were in Green Bay. I have a story I have to tell. Okay, Suze?
Yes.
Now, some weird thing has happened with our visits to our family homestead. I think it started about a year ago when our brother insisted that we go to a shooting range. Right? When was the first time?
I didn't go.
You didn't go? No, but not this time, but like 3 visits ago. And he went with his son, his this. And everybody came back grinning ear to ear, holding their, and saying they just loved it. Wow. And then there was a second time. And I thought, Susan, you went at the second one?
No, the first one I went.
Oh, you went?
Yeah, the first one I went, and that was because when Bill was trying to talk me into buying a gun. And he wanted me to shoot.
That's
and
right.
I was halfway thinking I would like a gun. And then I shot one shot off, and my wrist went, ballistic, and I realized that I wouldn't be able to hit anything except for my own toe. So I decided, no, I don't need a gun, that a baseball bat would do me just fine.
Yeah. Well, it was good, though, to try.
No, because I just put it out of my head, right.
Right.
And then he decided that I wasn't using the right gun, which is, of course, the gun that he specifically pointed out for me. But is this the part where we say that our brother doesn't know anything about guns?
He says he does, though, and he started to get into them a lot. And so I was browbeaten into going this time. So I went to the gun range with my son and my brother and who else was there? And your son. That's who the party was this time. We pull up to what's it called? The Family Gun?
The Family Gun Center. I'm going to click off just for a second.
All right, go ahead.
You tell the story.
Okay. It's called the Family Gun Center, and it's really very close to our house in Green Bay. And we pulled in, and I was filled with so much trepidation, but I was thinking, everybody should have some sense of what this is. I'm always talking about guns. I should have some sense. So we went in and got the family special, which was 2 guns and God knows how many bullets and all this. And in we went. Although we had to sit and watch a video about gun safety, which I did. And all of it made...
No, we didn't have to do that the first time.
What? You were supposed to watch the guns?
No, they just handed us our guns and told us to go.
You're kidding.
No.
Well, we watched the video on gun safety, then we went in, and our brother decided I would stay with him in our little booth and next to my son and Susan's son. There were a few other people in there, but no one had shot anything. The first gun that went off, and it was not from our party, I must have jumped 500 feet into the air. God, that's loud. And you have on these things on your ears.
These earphones, right.
Oh, my God. And then every 2 seconds, bang, another one. I was just jumping and jumping and jumping. I thought, my God, you got to get a grip. You got to get used to this because you won't be able to. So I was already unsettled. And then I had no idea how you had to fill your clip. I had Smith & Wesson Shield? Something. It's called that's what it is, the gun. Smith & Wesson something, and it's relatively light. And it has it's a semi-automatic-y kind of thing because it has a clip that holds about, 8 bullets. And it takes forever to load the damn bullets. It's like, I was not into this. And then here you have to pull this back and plop that in and blah, blah, blah. And our brother showed me how to do it. And then bang, he goes. I didn't want to do it. I did not want to do it. I was not into this at all. Finally, I said, okay. Susan, the first shot I took, I didn't understand about the sights and how you have this one here and then you have one at the end of the barrel and you have to line them up. So the first time I shot, I don't even think I hit the target.
You hit the ceiling, right?
I might have. I don't know where. But I screamed. And the reason I screamed is when I pulled the trigger, as the bullet went that way, the casing of the bullet went toward me and landed right here and then down my shirt.
And burned your breast.
Burned. Well, it's not quite my breast. Can you see? I have a perfect wound that is shaped like a bullet on my... It still hurts like hell. It totally took the skin off. Bang! Just like that. So, the first time I shoot a gun, I am wounded. All right.
And the moral of that story is?
Those things are friggin' dangerous. The second time, I said, okay, I'm going to do one more. And I then realized how you did it. I absolutely took my time, and bang, and I almost got a bullseye. They have different circles. It was a 9. It was right outside. But I handed the gun to my brother and said, I am finished. The sound, the power, the heat, the quickness, the lethality, to hold one of those things in your hand and to actually shoot one, I don't understand people falling in love with that. I do not. They are scary. And how anybody really shooting, bang, 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 can know what they're shooting at without taking... I'm sure if I'd stood there and done 50 shots and taken it slow, I could have had a bunch of 9s and 10s, because if you really do it, I don't see how you miss. But that's not in a gunfight. That's not what you're doing.
That's not what happens. I told you. That's why our family friend said if you insist on doing this, that you have to load your handgun up with buckshot bullets, so that no matter where you hit, something's going to hit what you're aiming at, because you won't, with one shot, be able to hit anything.
There is no way if you shoot a gun you do not see the lethality, the power that you're unleashing, and deadly power. Why is that something you're attracted to? Because you want to control it? Because you want to be the person to control this unbelievable lethal power? I'm trying to understand the psychology.
I have no idea, because whatever that psychology is, I don't have it. I just want to go in the other direction. The way I control it is by staying away from it.
Yeah. Well, I left. I mean, I thought I didn't have...
To me, when you get the gun, you just open yourself up to all of the bad stuff and none of the good stuff. You open yourself up to accidents, to, the gun getting into the wrong hands, whatever. But the chance that I'm going to use it and use it appropriately so that it helps me is about 1%. Versus the chance that something untoward will happen with it, which is about 99%.
Well,
I swear, I'm better off with a baseball bat.
No, I think
people are.
I think that's true. So anyway, I exited the range and went into the front of the place and started looking at the products that were for sale. Oh my God. I was really taken by the conceal and carry purses for ladies. It's amazing, all this stuff. And the guy behind the counter said, well, you're up pretty fast. I said, not for me, not for me. And I said, look, I'm wounded. He said, well, that's why we tell people you should wear a high... I said, nobody told me to wear a high collar. And nobody told me on the video to wear a high collar. He said, well, it happens rarely. I said, my first shot! Those things are spitting all over the place.
Well, that's
you can take an eye out.
You know.
Yeah, you can take an eye out. I know. You really can. That thing, one goes this way and the goes that away. We got a caller. Oh, hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, Lynn, I never could understand why people always say, well, I need it for protection. Protection from what? How often do you need a gun for protection?
I have never in my life.
I never could understand that when they'd say that.
Right. I'm an old lady, and I've never, ever in my life needed a gun.
So it's just like you say, they get into it so much.
Right.
And most of the people, the guns they have more than one gun. They may have 100 guns.
God.
I mean, that's where all the concentration of guns are. It's not like our whole population has guns. It's like, what, 25% or something?
Oh, I think it's bigger than that, but they have more than ever, more than they've ever had. I mean, it's just insanity. The segment of the population that's into them has just gone, stark raving mad.
They have reload. They make their own shells and everything. They're like into the whole.
I know.
From beginning to end.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it's something.
Yeah. Well, I'm any feeling I had that I was trying to. I mean, I think it's an important experience to have, especially since we're in this gun nut culture. And now I hate them even more, having shot them.
I never liked to hunt. I've hunted before. I've shot guns. I could never understand, if you're not going to eat it, why do you hunt it? I don't understand. For sport, to kill something?
Yeah, it is sport. It is. I know. Well, so you don't get it, I don't get it, but there's different people around.
Yeah, and I don't see why we view it differently than, looking with alarm at, some child that's pulling the legs off of an animal and seeing that as a future, serial killer. Why do we think it's just fine to kill anything for sport?
Well, you'll get an argument from a lot of people on that.
Well, I'm sure I will. I mean, I have, there are people in my family that are lovely and they hunt, but they also eat whatever they.
Well, that's different. If you're eating it, if you're hunting just for the kill, the thrill of the kill, of the trophy, I don't understand.
Stick the head on the wall. I don't get.
No. Well, okay, so we're all in agreement, aren't we? All geniuses. Thanks. Well, Thanks for the call. Thank you. I do want to say that when I went out to the into the front, I had a long conversation with the guy who behind the counter, who I found delightful, and then there was this guy down at the other end who was getting a gun or something, and he had a little plump little 7-year-old girl with him. She was so cute. And she was just taken by me. She was staring at me all the time. So I finally talked to her. I said, so I thought, oh my God, is she shooting? I said, so are you going to go shoot? And she said, nah, no, I'm not. And the guy behind the counter said, she could. I said, well, what is the age? He said, the age is whatever the parents say.
Well, you saw their logo, right?
Yeah. There's like a little kid shooting, too.
Right.
Well,
the father, the mother, and the baby are all shooting.
The father, the mother, and the baby are all shooting. But so these are people in the gun shop that, I would not, I sure agree with politically. but I liked them. I found them down to earth, fun, cute. I had a good time in there with them, but
and
not in the.
The little girl wanted to know if you were married to my son.
Yeah, when Susan's son came out, she said, "Is that your husband?" Much to his horror, I think he was appalled. Appalled.
Well, a 7-year-old doesn't have that.
No, I know. So I asked her where her husband was. She said, "Well, I don't have a husband." I said, "Okay." She said, "But I have a boyfriend." And then her uncle, the bearded uncle down the way, says, "It's like her mother, my sister. She was in first grade and was caught kissing some kid and blah, 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 blah." Oh, it's too funny. And then there was a guy in a wheelchair who was also shooting, and he was somebody. Oh, my son suggested there was a Susan Komen pink holster or something. He said, "Here, Mom, just what you need. You know, some of it goes for breast cancer research." And the guy in the wheelchair just wheels by me. This is before we all went in, and I heard him say, "I love boobies." Oh, Jesus Christ. Get out of here. I felt like I was in some... What a cast of characters. Oh, my Lord. But I'll tell you, par for the course that I go to a gun range and leave bleeding. All right. So... what else we got? So's. That's it. We're done on guns. No, actually, I'm not done on guns because I have a statistic here. Okay, since 9/11, which is now 16 years ago, right? 16 years ago, 74 people have been killed in this country by terrorists. In that same period, more than 150,000 Americans have been killed by a gun. Think of what we've done. Think of what we've done because of 9/11. And think of them... Ernie! Ernie! Hi, Ernie! It's your aunt! Ern. I know Ernie enough to know that was sort of a yawn. Wasn't that?
Yes.
This is yawn. God, is he cute. Okay.
There's a yawn and a complaint because there's a workman here who's disturbing Ernie's sleep. So
I
see.
see.
Protest as well.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So think of that. Look at our reaction to terrorists. And only 71 Americans have been killed, 74 have been killed in the U.S. by terrorists. And frankly, some of those terrorists are right-wing local domestic terrorists, right? Those are domestic terrorists.
Right.
So they aren't the Arab jihadists that we're so scared of. And yet the danger, the killing of Americans is an everyday event that we pay no attention to whatsoever. 150,000. Imagine if 150,000 Americans in the last 16 years had died from something. We wouldn't be pulling out all the stops to stop it. And we do nothing. The United States has a gun homicide rate 50 times higher than Germany's. And it's not that we have 50 times more mentally disturbed or violent people than Germany. It is simply because we have an endless supply of guns. So,
right.
Insanity. I don't know what we can do. At what point will Americans push back on this? When I look at all the, the police stuff and the unarmed black men dying, it seems like one a day now. I am now having fired that damn thing. God, it's sick.
It is sick.
Well, I think it's sick. All right. I think that's it. You want to hear what else is sick?
What?
the way the state of Pennsylvania deals with beer and liquor.
What you mean by having its own liquor stores and everything?
So they've loosened things up a little bit, Susan. There are some groceries stores that you can actually buy beer in now. And
really?
So, yes.
Well, how did they get that?
I don't know. But here is a letter from a guy in Murraysville who had an experience that he thought people should know about, and he wrote a letter to the editor, and here is his letter. Because I've never attempted to buy beer in a grocery store. He says, I went to Giant Eagle to buy beer. I picked up a 6-pack and a 12-pack. They told me, you can buy only 12 at a time. So I paid for the 12-pack, I took it to the car, and then I came back in to buy the 6-pack. Do you believe this? Okay, wait a minute. He said, I had to hand over my driver's license so they could scan it to verify my age. I am 76 years old. Right. They do that in a lot of states.
They do that in a lot of places.
Yeah,
I get carded regularly because I look so young.
Right. Yeah, right. After paying, I grumbled. I went to the car. I dropped off the beer, and I came back. They told me, we need a different method of payment. You cannot use the same credit card you used to buy the 12-pack.
Right, because they'll know.
And
so
then
the store owner is perfectly willing to cheat.
Well, he says, is this... Why is the state in this business? So even when the state says, okay, we're going to let you buy beer in a grocery store, and there's all of these, yes, but it's this many beers, and it can't be with this, and it's just insane. It's insane. That's insane, too. There's more insanity in this country than you can shake a stick at. We have a call. Hello, caller.
Hi, Lynn. This is Roger. I just had a weird experience.
Oh, good, Roger. Better you than me. What?
I just tried calling you, and I had the right number, but a woman answered the phone saying, thank you for calling the Gospel of Christ. I'm like, I didn't know what to do with that at first. I didn't think you were playing a joke or anything like that, but oh well.
I wonder what you did. You misdialed in some way.
I know, because this is going to sound like a cornball thing, because I don't remember numbers, and I don't like looking at it. You're in my contacts list, so I know I hit the Lynn button.
Because you didn't have the, the Gospel of Christ thing on your, yeah.
I don't think I do.
So how did that happen?
I don't know. Maybe I'm being steered in a different direction. I missed
it could well be that somebody is trying.
It was divine intervention.
That's right. Somebody is trying to save you.
Oh man, I gotta pay more attention. All right, well.
All right, well, thank you.
Call. I may never talk to you again, I guess.
Okay. Well, I think. Well, I'll put myself up against whatever that was, and I bet they'll come. Thank you.
Hey, no, I got a question for you.
Okay.
That's not why I called.
Okay.
Yeah, of course not.
Oh, right. Okay. What's up, Roger?
Last year, when did you go to the gun range? What was that just?
I think it was last year.
Okay, last year, because you were talking about it, and I just had my first trip to the gun range, and it was a manager's team building thing my boss wanted to do, and he's an avid weapons guy, and he belongs to a gun club, so he had a meeting with all the managers there, and he came to me beforehand and says, Roger, I know how you feel about guns. You're welcome to bow out. You don't have to come to this meeting if you don't want to, if you're really uncomfortable. I said, no, Andy, I need training to prepare for the revolution, so I appreciate this, So he said we had the meeting, and at the end it was for like a rah-rah and then recreational thing. No drinking was involved, so I guess that was a good thing. And he brings out this arsenal of weapons. I mean, guns that are bigger than me, little Berettas that are smaller than my coffee mug, and just like, holy crap, what does one man need with all this firepower. But anyway, he trains us on firearm safety, and then the competition begins, and I win the damn thing.
You won it.
I won it.
I think I would have been able to. I think I would have done pretty well if I'd stayed in.
Yeah, and he, I just followed his instructions, which were really simple.
Yeah.
It's just like relax, don't hold your breath, keep your arms relaxed, elbows slightly bent, exhale before you pull the trigger, don't squint. All these just basic things, and it was like, what's so hard about this? Boy, I feel like a man.
Yep. Well, he must be quite a guy.
Yeah, well,
I would like to point out that Lynn said if she stayed in, she'd be good at it, and so I'd like to point out that if I stayed in, I'd be good at it too. There's no way to prove this.
well, I know. You know what though? The thing is a lot of the women who are, we had a couple of women managers. They're like me, never really got into it, but they did exceptionally well. So there's no special skill to this. I mean, and later on, I was talking to my bosses. What do you need all that stuff for? Why don't you just why don't you just keep like a shotgun close by if you feel that threat? And he says, yeah, but if I have a bunch of bad guys come in my house at one time, I don't want to have to reload every couple of shots.
I mean, what is that? What is it? Yeah,
he's going to sleep on his bed with his arsenal?
I don't know.
I mean, which is unsafe to have them out like that. It's insane. It is frigging insane.
About our neighborhood.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, I'm sure if it's your boss, he lives in a neighborhood where gun violence is not a everyday
Cranberry.
Yeah, Cranberry. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, I consider Cranberry an unsafe place to be.
Well, it is now, and that's probably why.
Because there's too many white gun nuts out there.
Well, and that's probably why people like us probably need and maybe
know how to shoot.
Yeah, because who's going to have when things go to the nuts? Who's going to have all the guns? All the nutty people.
Well, that's true. They already do, though.
Yeah,
there's no way to catch up.
I know. Oh, real quick question or comment. We're talking. I know you haven't gotten there yet, but about Thursday's debate.
Yeah.
The only thing that I thought that Fox could have done better, they could have had cheerleaders. I really do.
Well, they didn't need them. I mean, I think that debate shows what I tweeted. I said the malevolent brilliance of Fox. They know how to do TV. That was
a debate won the ratings.
Yeah, right. That I mean, God help us. They know what people like. They know how to package it, manufacture it. They know the questions to ask to elicit exactly what they want to create a good show. And admittedly, it was a hell of a show, but frightening in the repercussions of this is increasingly our politics becoming part of this Roman Colosseum kind of entertainment.
I mean, I guess diplomacy doesn't matter anymore.
Well, it's dull.
I know, but
it's dull. It's not.
And the thing is, what I don't understand is all those people up there and the people who didn't make the playoffs. They're in the lower round.
Right.
All those people. There are people who are poor who believe in that because they just get all rallied up with whether it's guns or gods or gays or the flag or whatever it is that gets them going. And I just feel like, these people would be rooting for Goliath in the Bible? That's what it pretty much equates to me.
Well, they'd identify with Goliath, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was most freaked about the how alluring it all was in their hands, and frankly, I thought Trump did very well in that debate. if it was a debate. I thought he did very
well. In that performance. I
yeah.
just call it a performance.
Yeah, in that performance. And if I were somebody who liked Trump before, I would like him every bit as much since. I mean, I love the fact that Trump is... it's
politically incorrect.
Fox News created the current Republican Party, helped create the current Republican Party. And in so doing, they created exactly what Donald Trump is exhibiting. He knows the Republican base. He knows how they've been taught and whipped up. And I mean, I just think there's so much payback happening here. I mean, it's just perfect. It really is perfect. I hope he hangs in there a long time. I really do. I wish him well.
Didn't Kasich come across as some damn liberal?
Yeah. Well, next to them, yes. Kasich and Rubio, I thought, looked best. Scott Walker looked very weak, which was thrilling as well. He did not help himself. He looked like a school kid. But God help us. God help us.
I posted on Facebook to my friends and family because I guess maybe I had too many beers that night. But I said 30 years ago, Kasich would have been the front runner for the Republican Party. I mean, 30 years ago, in this type of scenario where, if 30 years ago, if we already had a black president and we had a strong women possibility of becoming president, 30 years ago, it would probably case Hillary on the Republican ticket. That's how off center.
I know. Well, Well, I've got something about that I'd like to get into. But thank you, Roger.
All right. Hey, and we've got to find out where to get our guns.
Okay. All right. Oh, God. Okay, so don't know if you all saw Paul Krugman and his piece on... I don't even know if this was written before the debates or after, but probably after. So he said, he pointed out that, Trump is this fundamentally an absurd figure. But Krugman said, but hey guys, so are those other guys on stage with him. They are absurd figures too. He says if you pay attention to what any one of them is actually saying, you discover incoherence and extremism every bit as bad as anything that Donald says.
Right. Well, and that's the way Hillary answered that question too. That Trump was awful, but don't let that blind you to the fact that it's the Republicans who, as a matter of policy, are anti-woman.
But more than that though, and as he said, as Krugman says, the reason they all spout crazy nonsense is because that is what you have to do to get anywhere in today's Republican Party. I mean, think of the things they can't say. Think of the things they can't be for. And there's no accident in all of this. And he says media is part of this. Their effort to cull some of these guys away from Trump and some of the other loons, saying, Jeb is the moderate and Marco Rubio is the face of a new generation and blah, blah, blah. But Krugman says, no, listen to them.
And by the way, can we just point out that arguably the strongest candidate of all of them, the woman, is just dismissed.
Right. Although not as dismissed as she used to be. Anyway, he says...
it's because she's making herself heard anyway, but...
Well, I don't know, have any of the polls...
She wouldn't be anywhere around
Has she picked up in the polls? She must have, since everybody thought she won that early debate, which I did not see. But he says you've created a party in which the party's base demands more and more extremist positions, right? If you're going to get anywhere, you just have to keep moving to the right to satisfy this crowd of yahoos that only watch Fox News. And what else would they like? A straight shooter, a macho guy who doesn't mince words, and this. And so Trump is perfect. Remember how all the people said, well, after he said what he said about John McCain not being a hero, he's going to tank. He's gone too far. He went up in the polls with Republicans. Because John McCain, and he points out, John McCain is considered like one of the grown-ups. I mean, he was their standard bearer last time around. And he epitomizes the Republican strategy of somebody who tries to sound reasonable, tries to sound moderate, but the fact is his position, I mean, he's the one who chose Sarah Palin to be the vice president
but he did it in
of the
a fit of pique.
I don't know. Anyway, it turns out Republican voters didn't give a damn that McCain was maligned and defamed and slandered. They still loved the Donald. And
well, it's because it's just like it's a beer brawl, sort of mentality. Hey, we don't care who gets hurt. Let's just see who lands the best shot. I mean, it's not serious. It's just not serious.
Great.
And it doesn't have anything to. And that's what's so horrifying. The only policy that we've gotten out of Donald is that we need to send the Mexicans back. That's it. I mean, is there any other policy statement we've heard?
Well, apparently now that he's still continuing to do well in the polls, even after the debate, yes, he's about to release actually some policy statements. His camp, and get this,
is how can he be the front runner if really nobody has any idea what he intends to do?
It doesn't matter because these are not serious people
with serious ideas about where they want their country to go.
They like the tough talk. They like somebody who sounds tough. They like the fact that he's rich. They think that means he's smart. They like, he looks to them like what a man is.
Now, then I'm going to make them all wear that hairdo.
God, that hair.
And his hair, do you see the young pictures of him? He always wore his hair that way.
Yeah, he did. I mean, so you thought it was some kind of comb-over thing, but it's...
Right, no, this is how he's worn his hair.
Yeah. But his campaign is starting to do what campaigns actually do. There's, by the way, if you want to work for the campaign, there are job openings in a lot of states. They're setting up state organizations. I think he's starting to think he can keep this going.
Right. He did this on a lark, and you know it.
Yes.
And
then look what happened.
I mean, it's become his every 4 years. Let's see how far we can let this thing go.
Right.
And it was pure amusement for him. And now he's thinking, oh, holy shit, I could be president.
Right. He is thinking that. It is not true, and I just love how he is giving such dyspepsia to the Republican Party. I love it. They created it. They created him, and this is what they get. I love it. It's just wondrous. It really is. Oh, boy. And Bernie Sanders is continuing to draw big crowds. Bernie's starting to think he can win, too. But I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because eventually the moneyed interests will take care of that.
Well, anyone that just, cops to being a socialist ain't going to win.
No, can't win a general either. Can you imagine if it was Trump against Bernie Sanders? I think if it were Trump against Bernie Sanders,
Trump would win.
No. You think? No.
I think people are more shocked by basic fairness than they are by buffoonery. And they would take an entertaining 4 years over the possibility of a single-payer system.
I mean, having Donald Trump as president would be like, we get a sense of what it's like to have, Kim Jong-un as the head. I mean, some crazy lunatic. Well, speaking of socialism, I saw a good quote, and this is from a biologist. Actually, he was an ant specialist. He wrote, Karl Marx was right. Socialism works. It's just that he had the wrong species. It works with ants.
Yeah.
It works with bees.
It works among creatures where narcissism doesn't exist.
Yeah, right. But among man, forget about it.
Right.
It works beautifully.
It works beautifully if you absolutely believe that the worst of you is no less or more important than the best of you, and you all have your job. You are all a cog, and you just do it. And everybody is necessary. But man can't do that.
No. Quite clearly, man can't do that.
Woman can't do it either, I'd like to point out.
People don't want that.
No.
Yeah. Margie says she agrees with you that Trump would win over Sanders. I have one more quote.
Go for it.
It's so true, too, and it says something about why so many people are dull. Easy lives make boring people. Isn't that true?
Yeah, because not necessarily.
Oh,
I mean, you could have an easy life and have a very interesting job, but that's part of what makes your life easy.
Well, but usually,
I think underutilized people make boring people, because I've watched myself become more and more and more boring.
Do you think?
Yeah. I think I was a lot more interesting when I was, like a member of a school board or an employed person.
Well, then
because my world was broadened. Now the onus is on me to make myself interesting, and that's
right.
I'm not all that interesting.
Well, I still think you're interesting. I don't think that's true. I mean, I think you read more than most people do, even in your way. Or you watch a lot of shit television, though. I'll tell you that.
Because I have the attention span of a squashed bug at this point.
Yeah, but that's because of your, addiction to the internet and to and to TV. And so, in that regard, you're very much like a whole gazillion other Americans.
And I would like to point out that I don't really watch that TV. I just have it on.
No, I understand. Yeah, right. But that's company.
Right.
Did you see where somebody predicted that by 2050 we will think nothing about sex with robots? And that, in fact, sex with robots will be the way most people choose to pleasure themselves?
All right. Well, that's fine. I think I'm going to throw up.
Well, so...
No, really.
No, really. Really.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Why should you have to worry about pleasuring a partner? And
that's right.
And if you can if you can program the robot exactly the right way to pleasure you, then it's just it's less effort than masturbation. So yeah, I get it.
I mean, it's one step up from a really good vibrator or something, but they'll know how to, pleasure people. And people will have relationships with robots. I mean, it's that movie. What was that movie?
Yeah, I know.
It's so... You remember how all these sort of sci-fi-ish things we'd look at and think, well, but that will happen. Oh, dear. So, anyway, are the cops still here? No, the cops left. The cops were here all last week. The Fraternal Order of Police? Or are they here now?
Yeah?
No, I think they're here now. They're meeting in convention. Yes. Turns out they're a 100-year-old union And that union was started here in Pittsburgh. Who knew? So they came back for their 100th. Yeah, because Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, was here yesterday, right, and addressed them, and all of that. And we're knee deep in cops here right now. And Susan, aren't you glad you don't live in St. Louis anymore?
It's just exhausting. I sort of have to look at it every morning and go, come on.
Do you know I know. Did you see the reporter?
The reporter is being prosecuted.
A reporter for the Washington Post who was in the McDonald's a year ago in Ferguson. Remember those reporters who got charged? They didn't get out of the McDonald's fast enough for the police or something. Believe it or not, just the other day, one of those Post reporters got a order to appear in St. Louis County Municipal Court next week to face charges. That's a year later. What is wrong with them?
Well, it's like St. Louis and the environs and surrounds works very hard to make the worst possible impression on everybody that they possibly could. I do not know how these people are not able to take one step back and look at how they are behaving. Any of them, on any side. And that goes for the bad people that are not protesters that take every advantage of this stuff to create murder, quite literally, and mayhem.
Yeah.
And spitting on the face of their families. I don't get that part either.
Spitting on the face of their family. What are you saying?
Well, if Black Lives Matter and basically Black lives are the ones that are doing all of this nonsense, it's a problem. It's a problem in the face of their own community and spitting in its face.
Well, who tweeted? Somebody tweeted. It had to be a black person because no one else would be able to say it. But they say if Black Lives Matter, there's a lot of people
Then we need to stop shooting ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. That's a message that has to get into the African American community. That Black Lives Matter. It doesn't have to be directed totally out to the white community. It needs to come back to the community as well. No doubt.
And I really don't think it's wrong to point out that, yes, Black lives certainly do matter because all life matters. All lives matter. They do.
Of course.
We just keep separating ourselves from each other. When what we should be trying to do is recognize that we are all in this together.
Oh, Susan, please.
I know.
Okay.
It's hard to say. You betcha that it's hard. You aren't supposed to say that sort of stuff. I'd like to say I feel sorry for the good cops. I really do. I don't know how we expect to, have police officers any more than we can expect to have teachers, any more than we can expect to have all of these people that we need to make our communities work properly. If what we do is turn on them constantly.
Well, I got to tell you, though, our police chief spoke to the FOP convention here, and he said to him, he said, we got to start doing things differently. We cannot be held to traditions that are harming us. And he also said, we have got to, I wish I'd gotten the quote, we have got to not stand with those who, other police officers who are destroying our reputation.
I agree.
I mean, that's right. But everybody seems to be guarding their
Everybody
own.
is taken to their turf, and they are guarding it. And that is, pretty soon we just look like Israel and its neighbors. You've got to resist the urge to get into your camps, and that's my problem with continuing this. That's why we have to start to look at ourselves as a community, all of ourselves as a community.
Well, that's easy to say, but if you look at St. Louis, where black kids can live and never have a white friend, never know a white person, they interact with white people, but the way segregation works in education and every other way, there doesn't feel like we're part of the same community. I mean, it's easy to say that.
Well, and even when you do deseg, it's just naive to think that the kids that are bused in are treated the same as the residents. That just mostly doesn't happen.
Okay, it's too bold.
And it's not because people don't try. It's because there's just all this ingrained stuff that if you don't work on it, it doesn't go away.
Well,
on all sides.
Yeah, on all sides, right. But listen, right. But I think the white side is the side with the power.
Of course.
And the white side is the side with the, that has created a culture and this and that and blah, blah, blah. No, it falls more on whites. And the self-hate and whatever craziness being black in America has done to the African American community that makes its young people feel that their lives aren't worth anything. They assume they'll be dead one way or the other before they're 17. All that is not necessarily a result of the black community. That is a result of the larger culture just
keeping them down.
I just absolutely think that, just to keep our eyes on the prize, whites have more responsibility here. Because whites do. They do. And that's all I'm saying. Although, yes, blacks as well.
Okay, so that's fine, and we can put the blame wherever we want it. But the responsibility to change rests with everybody equally, regardless of whether that's fair or not. It just is.
Okay. I've got to share. Ray wrote a gun thing. I own 2 pistols, a semi-automatic 45 and a .357 revolver. Both are locked in my safe and haven't been out in over a year. I've let my concealed carry permit expire and don't have any interest in carrying a gun anymore. I used to carry constantly. I won't carry because I refuse to be associated with the frightened reactionary gun nuts that sprang up after Obama was elected. My reason for carrying suddenly struck me as adolescent and irrational, but for some reason I am reluctant to get rid of them. Not all of us are obsessed with the mechanism, but almost all of us are fascinated by them. I will say that, with all due respect, your brother had no business subjecting you to a shoot. Well, he didn't subject me. I agreed to go. And then Ray says, I know I wouldn't want you shooting next to me. Why? I was fine. The only person I injured was myself. Anyway. Oh, God. Okay, Ray. Well, I think if you've reached that point with your gun ownership, you should get rid of them altogether. Destroy those guns.
No, he can still be fascinated by the machine and enjoy simply owning it. But,
I know is that machine is meant.
That we just keep to look at every once in a while.
Yeah, but that incredible machine is meant for one purpose, and that is to take life. That machine is meant to kill. And if you get a thrill out of shooting just to see how, good you are at, it's just target stuff, well, then you don't need to own a gun. They got plenty of guns for you at the target range, at the shooting range. I don't know. I cannot believe the power of that little frigging black thing. I hate the feel of it. I hate the look of it. I hated the power of it. It's mind-boggling when you feel it, when you feel that bullet go. And you sure as hell wouldn't want to be anywhere near. You can see how it just destroys anything it hits. You can feel that. Ugh. So, nah. Okay.
Yeah, I just can't imagine wanting to even face the consequences of what that bullet does to whatever it hits.
Oh, God.
But we should say that my son was impressed my brother mightily by...
he got just all bullseyes.
Bullseye.
So he's got a very steady hand and a very... Yeah. I mean, some people just do. Most don't. And just like any time you're good at something, yeah, you feel like bragging rights. If I had stayed in and maybe gotten a whole bunch more of 9s or 10s or 8s and showed that I had a pretty good eye, I'd probably be showing that here, right? But why?
Maybe.
Yeah, I would. But I'd had it. I was already in pain from the burned breast, and my senses were assaulted.
I look at it like smoking cigarettes. I already forced myself several times to go through feeling sick and not doing well in order to become a chain smoker. I didn't like shooting from the first time, and I suppose I could have kept myself at it until I did like it, and then I probably would have become addicted. I don't, no. I don't need to go through things that make me unhappy.
No, and that
serve some other point with them,
and serve no purpose. No purpose at all.
Serve no purpose, except to
kill,
or maim.
And the fact that the NRA has done what it's done to this country, and with the willingness of so many politicians, cowardly politicians, good God. And I wasn't here when Kathleen Kane, our Attorney General, was indicted, and I missed a lot of stuff, all of which I'm thrilled and happy to have missed. That's all I want to say. And Susan?
Yes? Oh, we're done.
Pittsburgh is in St. Louis today.
Yes.
For a 3-game series. I am a nervous wreck because you jerks in you're not in St. Louis anymore. That team is ridiculous, but ours is getting almost as ridiculous. So this should be a hell of a series. I hope we bring...
Real good. Yeah, I haven't paid any attention since I don't live in...
Yeah, but you should, because your new team could be the Cubbies, and they're finally respectable. They're coming up.
I know.
They are. They're doing really well, and in fact, I think they've beaten the Cardinals a few times. So, just saying.
All right.
Okay. Bye, Suze. Give
Goodbye.
my love to Ernie. I love you, Ernie. I love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, tomorrow I will have a guest in studio, a guy you may remember, Dmitry Vasileros, who used to drive me stark raving mad. He probably still does, but he's intent on something, and I thought I'd give him the stage to make his case. So, Dmitry Vasileros, tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.